All right, let's get right into this. We're about to unpack a story that is just chilling. It connects a small, unassuming town in India to a massive global investigation, and it all unraveled because of one single digital clue found thousands of kilometers away. This is the story of how a seemingly normal couple hid a decade of absolute horror right out in the open.
And this is where it all ends up. In February of 2024, a couple, Ram Bhawan and his wife Dirgawati, were given the death sentence. That's the most extreme punishment you can get in the Indian legal system. But to really understand how they got to this point, we've got to go all the way back to the beginning.
Now, the judge in their case didn't just hand down the sentence. He used a very specific legal term, rarest of the rare. That's not just for drama. It's a legal classification they only pull out for crimes that are so unbelievably heinous, so shocking, that they demand the ultimate penalty. So the real question is, what on earth did they do?
Well, to answer that, we first have to look at who this couple appeared to be, because for more than 10 years, they were living in Uttar Pradesh, building this perfect image that was the complete and total opposite of their dark, hidden reality.
See, on the surface, Ram Bhawan was just a regular, middle-aged government engineer. His wife, Dirgawati, she seemed just as harmless. They were the friendly, welcoming neighbors everyone knew. But behind closed doors, they were predators. They were running a sophisticated child exploitation ring on the dark web. That hidden part of the internet where anonymity is everything.
And this deception, it ran deep. Their neighbors trusted them so much that they would leave their own kids in their care, thinking they were perfectly safe. Everyone saw Ram on his laptop all the time and just figured, oh, that's for his engineering job. They even decided to rent a private place instead of taking free government housing, which gave them more privacy, more control. This wasn't just a lie, it was a perfect mess they spent a decade building.
But the thing that brought it all crashing down, it didn't even start in India. The whole thing began to unravel 7,000 kilometers away, in Belgium, all because of one tiny, almost unnoticeable clue.
So get this, the first thread was pulled during a completely routine traffic stop. Belgian police pull over a drunk driver, and in his car they find a pen drive. When they check what's on it, they find this really disturbing, grainy video of child abuse. And that was just the beginning.
Turns out that one pen drive had thousands of similar clips. The victims were clearly not from Europe, but the police were stumped until they found it. In the background of these videos, you could faintly hear Hindi music playing. That one tiny audio clue was the breakthrough. It shifted the entire investigation's focus squarely onto India. From there, Belgian police sent the files to Interpol, who immediately got Indian authorities involved.
Okay, so now the case is with India's Central Bureau of Investigation, the CBI. And with a ton of international pressure on them, they started following these digital breadcrumbs right away.
And man, did they move fast. The files came over from Interpol in 2020. The CBI filed their official report on October 31st. And just a little over 2 weeks later, on November 17th, Ram and Dirgawati were arrested. That speed tells you just how clear that digital trail really was.
And here it is. This was the digital smoking gun. The initial data showed that these horrible videos were being circulated from 3 different phone numbers. But when the CBI dug in, they found all 3 of those numbers were registered to one single physical address in Uttar Pradesh. They had them.
But when the CBI team showed up to raid the house, they were completely thrown. They were expecting some kind of criminal den, but instead, they found this totally normal, decent-looking house. And who answers the door? Dirgawati, an ordinary, middle-aged woman. The agents were so shocked they literally thought they had the wrong address. Nothing about the scene matched the monster they were hunting. That initial shock didn't last long. As soon as the agents started searching that home, the whole perfect facade just crumbled, and the true, monstrous scale of what this couple was doing came to light.
So, the first thing they found? The phones. Remember, Interpol had only traced 3. Inside the house, agents found 12. 12 separate mobile phones. Each one was a tool in their operation. The scale was already 4 times bigger than anyone had suspected.
And then they found the money. They found nearly 8.5 lakh rupees in cash, just stashed in the house. That's over 10,000 US dollars. This proved it wasn't just some twisted hobby, it was a profitable, horrifying business.
Next, they seized a hard disk, and on that disk was the source of everything. Investigators found 34 original, long-form videos of abuse. These were the master copies, the raw material for their entire global dark web operation. And this is where the scale just becomes sickening.
From those 34 original videos, this couple had meticulously cut them up into over 200,000 smaller clips. 200,000. Each one was packaged and sold to buyers all over the world. Investigators quickly pieced together their cold, calculated method. They specifically targeted young boys, usually between 5 and 15 years old, from families that were struggling financially. They'd lure them in with food, gifts, or the promise of a new phone. Once a child was inside, Ram would lock the door. And it gets worse. They would then blackmail the victims, threatening them to force them to bring their friends and cousins into the same horrible trap. All of this content was sold for Bitcoin, a cryptocurrency that makes it super hard to trace who's paying for it.
So, with an absolute mountain of evidence, digital files, cash, and most importantly, victim testimonies, the case went to trial. Let's look at how it all ended and the disturbing questions that still hang over this case.
You know, during the trial, Durgawati tried to claim she had no idea what her husband was doing, but that lie was completely shattered by the survivors themselves. One victim testified that Durgawati auntie was there. She helped her record the videos. When we asked for help, she just watched. She wasn't just complicit, she was an active participant.
And so the final judgment came down. The special court, which handles these kinds of cases, sentenced both Ram Bhavan and Durgawati to death. As a small measure of justice, the court also ordered that all the cash they seized, that 8.5 lakh rupees, be given to the survivors as compensation. And then, in one final, absolutely shocking twist, the couple's defense lawyer said this to the media right after the verdict. He claimed his clients were victims of injustice and that they were going to appeal. Unsurprisingly, this caused a huge public outrage. It just felt like a complete denial of the reality that was proven in court.
That lawyer's statement, in the face of all that evidence, is just a final, chilling reminder of the deep deception at the heart of this case. Think about it. This was only exposed by a random traffic stop an ocean away. It really leaves you with a deeply unsettling question. As the internet reaches every corner of the world, how many other monsters are out there, hiding in plain sight, using a friendly smile as a mask?